families, friends and neighbors, sharing gifts and helping hands. We're people helping people, and we're proud that we can say we're always getting better and growing stronger every day. Taking pride in Mobile, haven't you noticed? We've got it all right here at home. Nothing can stop us. Taking pride in where we're going, taking pride in who we are. Mobile, show your pride. Together we'll go far. There's a feeling of excitement, you can see it everywhere. The pride of our whole region is the heartbeat that we share. The heartbeat that we share. Taking pride in Mobile. Haven't you noticed? We've got it all right here at home. Nothing can stop us. Taking pride in where we're going. Taking pride in who we are. Mobile, show your pride. Together we'll go far. Mobile, show your pride. Together we'll go far.
Come ride a little train going down the track at the junction. Woo, woo! Pinnacle Junction. There's old Uncle Joe moving kind of slow at the junction. Woo, woo! Pinnacle Junction. I will return.
Message deleted. Press.
From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
Watch for an accident in Crestview, South Burden Boulevard at Export Road. Also an accident in Cantonment, West 9 Mile Road at Pine Forest Road. On Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10, it's a 9-minute drive. On Highway 59 from I-10 to Gulf Shores, a 50-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Bakke.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement. Batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
The Uncle Henry Show, weekday afternoons from 5 till 7.
Young man, what do you want for Christmas?
All I want for Christmas is the city of Mobile to fix their raggedy streets. That's all I want for Christmas.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Thank you. I appreciate very much you listening to the Uncle Henry Show. There are many, many thousands and millions and trillions of other things that you could be listening to right now that would probably be easier to understand. But here you are with me on the Uncle Henry Show, and I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Once again, here we are together, me and you. Just the two of us here trying to figure out what is going on. What's going on in the world around us? We'll try to figure some of that stuff out in this particular hour of Uncle Henry Show. Now, there was a Mobile City Council meeting today. I will give you coverage of today's Mobile City Council meeting and also get into some other stuff in this hour of show. If you'd like to call the show and bring something forward, 251-479-2723. That is the telephonic number to call. 251-479-2723 to call the Uncle Henry Show with whatever it is you want to call in with. And you can call in with just about anything as long as it ain't pornographic or scatological in nature. Now today, Mobile City Council meeting, one of the things, and by the way, another brief meeting, under an hour. So you local officials, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just everybody's excited that they got elected and there's some new people on the council and there's a new mayor and maybe there's just not the same appetite for the hot air. I don't know, but there was still some hot air. Could have been shorter. Today, if the people elected to office had watched their mouths and used word economy, the meeting could have been 30 minutes or less, almost like one of them old-fashioned pizzas that would get delivered. But no, they still had to go over 30 minutes because when people get elected, they think people want to hear what they have to say about this, that, and the other. So anyway, there was still a little extra talking that was unnecessary, in my personal opinion. But still, I think the meeting was under 40 minutes. So again, you're getting great grades, council and mayor, on keeping these meetings brief. If you could get them even briefer, that'd be fantastic. Now, one of the things discussed, brought up at the meeting, was the passing of a very prominent Mobilian, Ann Bedsole. So I thought you might want to hear what was said about that. Here is Mobile City Council Vice President Gina Gregory introducing a moment of silence at the council meeting on behalf of Ann Bedsole. Let's listen together.
For a moment of silence.
If you would, in your own way, please remember, and in this moment of silence, in memory of political trailblazer Ann Bedsole, who passed away yesterday. She was 95 years old. Ann was a longtime resident here in the city of Mobile, and she made history as the first Republican woman in the Alabama House of Representatives and the first woman in the Alabama Senate. That's actually where I first met Ann. Ann started in 1995 in the Senate, and I was working in Montgomery at the time and was able to work with Ann in her role as a state senator. Ann also was known for having run for governor back in the day, so that was also part of her being a trailblazer and remembered that way. She also made a run for mayor some time ago, back in 2005. But beyond politics, Ann Bedsole had many, many successes here in the city of Mobile and statewide. She co-founded the Alabama School of Math and Science here in Mobile. She championed historic preservation here in the city, and she also spearheaded the city's tricentennial celebration. So Ann's legacy will be long, long remembered. Her husband's family, the Bedsole Foundation, she is known for that, as well as the Sybil Smith Foundation, that is in honor of her mother. So Ann's legacy will live on for a very long time, and I just ask that you all please remember Ann and her family in this moment of silence.
All right, so, and Gina Gregory mentioned the tricentennial celebration from Mobile, that Ann Bedsole did spearhead that. I heard a story about that. This was according to a reporter. So I was not a firsthand witness to this. So you will have to take it for what it's worth. Hearsay. But there's a local reporter that claimed I'll put it this way. The local reporter used to get in private discussions with Ann Bedsole. The reporter was trying to convince Ann Bedsole that the math was wrong on the tricentennial celebration, and that we were celebrating it 1 year too soon. This was private between the reporter and Ann Bedsole, and the reporter came back to me at one point and said that he claimed we were celebrating it a year early because Ann Bedsole wanted it that way. Now, I'm going to go along with Ann Bedsole on this. I would think she would know better. In fact, she almost made it to 1/3 of the whole tricentennial there. So anyway, one more. We have a little bit more on Ann Bedsole. Here is Mobile Mayor Spiro talking about Ann Bedsole.
I do want to echo some of Councilwoman Gregory's words about Miss Ann Bedsole. She was a true trailblazer. You know, the first woman in the Alabama Senate. Her efforts inspired many, many young women to pursue a career in politics. She truly broke open that arena to many young women and inspired men and women alike. So please do keep your thoughts and prayers with her family as they go through this difficult time. As was mentioned, she did help fund the Alabama School of Math and Science in 1989, which continues to be the #1 high school in all of Alabama. It continues to bring Alabama's best and brightest right here to Mobile, so I certainly thank her for that. The title of her autobiography was Leave Your Footprint, and I find that very appropriate. She certainly did that, and that title reflects a life of service that inspired many, many young women and men. So my thoughts and prayers are with her and her family, her friends, and all those whose lives she touched, and I wish her peace.
Yes, rest in peace, Ann Bedsole. Back with more Uncle Henry Show after the break.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
Watch for an accident, Gulf Breeze Parkway at College Parkway, and also an accident on Juniper Avenue at West Ensley Street. Watch for congestion on Highway 31 from Spanish Fort to Highway 59. It's an 18-minute drive.
Hello to the YouTube viewers. Hello to Excalibur Iron Force, North Meets South Mobile Al, Quinelli Pat, Ken DM1KD, Bama Big Man, Larry Morting, the Moon Fairy. Roll Tide to you all. Thank you all for looking in, whoever you might be. Right now, in the commercial break, the radio listeners are hearing about
251-438.
They're hearing about good businesses. They're in the commercial break. Going to be back on the radio here in just a few minutes. Let's see. What can I tell you about while waiting to go back on the radio? Tomorrow, I'll give you a heads up. Tomorrow, Killer Bees is coming back to spend some more time with me. So if you have anything fun that I could ask him about, let me know. You can email me or slip me a, well, that's the best way to get in touch with me. Email me or whatever. If you have any good ideas on more fun things to talk to Killer Bees about, Killer Bees coming in tomorrow. One more time. Let's see. What can I tell you about? Let me go ahead and look in the weird news. I did find more weird news today. One moment, please, while I recall it. There's more. There seems to be a story like this every week now. A masterpiece painting that's been missing for over 400 years was found recently inside a townhouse in Paris. They didn't realize what they had, of course. They were getting ready to sell this townhouse and trying to get it ready to sell, and they noticed the piece of art and looked into it. The piece of art went missing in 1613. They just sold it for $2.7 million. So just go. Anytime there's a painting in the house and you're thinking about donating it to Goodwill or something, just make sure. There's been so many of these stories this year about people finding paintings at a Goodwill and it turns out it's worth $1 million. A lost masterpiece for $2.7 million. Also, if you get a phone given to you by your employer that happens to be an Android phone, Google has now rolled out something called Android RCS Archival on Android devices, and this would allow your employer to intercept and archive all of your text messages on that phone. So if you get an employer-issued phone, be careful. Actually, you should live a life where you don't have to be worried about this. But just be careful. Your boss might be reading your text messages.
Blindster.com.
Hey, it's Kyle from Blindster.com. There's never been a better time to buy blinds. Save up to 50% site-wide during our Cyber Week sale going on now. Our blinds are custom-made and guaranteed to fit. Skip the big box stores and order online for less. This sale ends soon, so go to Blindster.com today.
Roll Tide. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
It says the Uncle Henry Show. It's 5:20. News headlines coming up in 10 minutes. If you'd like to call the show, 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. I've got more from today's Mobile City Council that I'll share with you before the end of the hour. But I've got a living caller on the line. I love talking to the callers. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Uncle Henry.
Bert, you are live on the radio.
Uncle Henry, my heart goes out to the family of Ann Bedsole. She was the senator from my district for many years, the district that I lived in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I think I got to see her. She came to University of South Alabama when I was a political science student there. And she spoke, and another state legislator spoke. And I voted for her many, many times. And I've got a story to tell you about a time that I voted for her for an office that she wasn't running for.
Okay.
In the late 70s, I was a volunteer for Guy Hunt's campaign for governor. And I served as a poll watcher to make sure all the columns of signatures lined up, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And handed out literature for him at the fair. And Bob James ran against him and beat him 3-1 because all the Alabama conservatives still considered themselves Democrats in those days. And so then Bob James ran what I considered to be a very crooked administration for many, many reasons. And I'm not going into all the details about that. But then when Guy Hunt was finally elected governor, Lieutenant Governor Jim Folsom and Attorney General Jimmy Evans launched what I considered to be a politically motivated prosecution of Hunt, kind of like what Letitia James and Alvin Bragg did to Trump, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so in 94, our options were Bob James, that had beaten Hunt in that election, and Jim Folsom, who had engineered a coup to make himself governor. He was the incumbent. And so, therefore, Uncle Henry, in that election, I wrote in Ann Bedsole to be the governor of Alabama.
Oh, you did?
I did. I considered her to be governor material, and I always did, and I always will. I think she would have made a much better governor than Bob James or Siegelman, or probably any of them that we've had in the last 30 years.
Hey, Bert, just a quick tangent here. Now you worked on the Guy Hunt campaign or something. Did you ever spend any time with Guy Hunt?
I did.
What was he like? Because he came across, I saw him a few times at press conferences, and he just came across as kind of uncomfortable campaigning. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know, Uncle Henry. He was a country boy, and it might not have been in his wheelhouse to deal with crowds.
Yeah.
I see him as kind of like Junior Sample. You know what I mean?
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He was kind of like he would have been more at home ad-libbing on hee-haw than pressing the flesh at political events.
Okay. Well, that explains it a little bit to me, because he just seemed he was the first Republican governor since Reconstruction in Alabama. So he was kind of an oddity, seeing a Republican up in that office. And every time I was around him, he seemed to be a little uncomfortable. And that kind of explains it. If he was more comfortable on the farm, that makes all the sense in the world to me.
That's the impression I got, okay?
Okay.
But I just want all your listeners to know that I was always a fan of Ann Bedsole, and I wrote her in for a job that she wasn't even running for.
And you were not a fan of Jim Folsom Jr.?
Oh, heck no, Uncle Henry. Never a fan of his.
All right. Well,
and it's not just the things that he did when he was governor. It's like, I've never really been a fan of dynasty politics.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're married to this politician, or the son or the grandson of that politician that entitled you to this office, I don't roll that way, Uncle Henry.
I get that.
You got to prove it to me that you're worthy of this job beyond just having the right last name.
I agree. I'm with you on that.
Well, thank you for taking the call, okay?
All right, Bert. And hey, before Christmas, I'd love it if you could call one day and play some Christmas music on your keyboard. If you could ever do that, would love it.
That's going to happen.
All right. Well, Bert, have a wonderful rest of your evening.
You too, okay?
All right, there he goes, Bert, giving us a little of his personal history, voting for Ann Bedsole, writing her in for governor of the state of Alabama. And he mentioned Jim Folsom Jr. Now, I was not a Folsom fan either, but if you're a longtime listener of the Uncle Henry Show, you'll know that one of my favorite political ads of all time, I think it's my favorite political ad of all time, and it was this Jim Folsom Jr. This is 11 seconds from it. I love this so much. It's got everything I love about Alabama politics in it. You'll listen. Of course, the accent is just pure Alabama, but listen to what Jim Folsom says in his ad. If you've never heard this before, this is my favorite political commercial of all time. 11 seconds.
I have 2 great kids, 3 dogs, and 4 shotguns. I go to church every Sunday and never have played tennis at the Mountain Brook Club. I'd rather be hunting.
Now, the guy, at the time he's talking about how he'd rather be hunting, doesn't want to play tennis with the people at the country club. No, he's got the money at that point. I think I read some news item about how Folsom and some friend of his or relative of his, they made it a point to attend every World Series or something. Just lots of cash. He'd still rather be hunting. But I love this. He did the countdown. How many? 2 kids, 3 dogs, and 4 shotguns. What is it?
I have 2 great kids, 3 dogs, and 4 shotguns.
2 kids, 3 dogs, 4 shotguns. It's just perfect. And so his accent, you hear his southern accent.
I have 2 great kids.
And then listen to the music in the background. So this is what political people think Alabamians are listening to. We're all getting off our tractors, and before we go in and take a shower, we're going to sit on a stump and listen to this music.
I have 2 great kids, 3 dogs, and 4 shotguns. I go to church every Sunday and never have played tennis at the Mountain Brook Club. I'd rather be hunting.
I'd rather go to church. All right, well. Now, I've got a caller, but I'm almost on the break. Hello, caller.
Hey, Uncle Henry. Governor Hunt, I thought, was very comfortable in the crowd. I got to hear him preach. You know, he was a primitive Baptist preacher. I took my grandparents to hear him speak years ago, and thought he did an excellent job and was quite at home behind the pulpit. And I always liked him as a governor too. And Miss Bedsole was always a great supporter of ag in Southwest Alabama. I remember she always came to our steer shows and always supported those things, and I always thought a lot of her for that.
Oh, well, thank you for telling us that.
Have a good evening.
Oh, you too. Thank you very much for your phone call. Thank you for telling us that. And no, I only saw Guy Hunt personally at political press conferences. So that I can imagine that would be very different from standing up and preaching. At least it was for him. Maybe it isn't for some other people.
Time saver traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
In Pensacola, watch for an accident north 9th at Crichton Road. Also an accident Navarre Parkway at Palo Alto Street. We also have congestion on Highway 31 from Highway 59 down to Spanish Fort. It's an 18-minute drive. And on the Foley Beach Express from Highway 59 to Canal Road, a 23-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Staples. Have an easy holiday only at Staples. Save on custom cards and custom wrapping paper, plus shipping supplies and services to get your packages delivered safely. Don't miss out on select laptops, up to 45% off. Visit staples.com for details. Staples, that was easy.
Hello, I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News. Ann Bedsole, a trailblazer in Alabama politics, has died at 95. A longtime Mobile resident, she made history as the first Republican woman in the Alabama House of Representatives and the first woman in the Alabama Senate. She served until 1995. Now, beyond politics, Bedsole co-founded the Alabama School of Mathematics and Science and championed historic preservation in Mobile. She also wrote an autobiography called Leave Your Footprint. Funeral arrangements have not been finalized. A 65-year-old Milton man was killed, and a 51-year-old Navarre man was seriously hurt in a crash this morning on State Road 87 North and Coldwater Church Road in Santa Rosa County, Florida. And that's according to the Florida Highway Patrol. Investigators say a Mazda pickup was going south on 87 North. Another pickup, a Dodge, was traveling north on that road, which told the Mazda crossed the center lanes and collided with the Dodge. Well, hundreds of Christmas trees from Fairhope are making their way to North Carolina as part of the Trees for Troops program, bringing holiday cheer to military families. The Auburn Experimental Station donated more than 200 trees, while Fish River Farms contributed 50 trees with help from customers who already bought trees at the farm. All trees were loaded onto a truck and delivered to the Marine Corps base in Cherry Point, North Carolina. Now, Trees for Troops is part of the Christmas Spirit Foundation and has been operating for more than 15 years. I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News on this iHeartRadio station.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
Fox News, I'm John Saucier. President Trump holding a cabinet meeting today at the White House. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the U.S. will continue strikes on boats suspected to be carrying drugs into the U.S. with controversy around a September operation where a second strike was fired at defenseless individuals in the water who survived the initial strike. Secretary says a Navy admiral ordered that second strike and defended him.
Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat.
Navy Admiral Bradley is expected to provide a classified briefing to lawmakers by Thursday. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer commenting on President Trump's recent remarks about the possibility of a land attack against Venezuelan drug operations.
Congress would invoke the War Powers Act
It's Congress's prerogative to go war, and I hope Republicans will defend that role.
It's been over 20 strikes on suspected drug boats. America's listening to Fox News.
When it comes to
YouTube viewers, let me check. Let me see. Yeah, we have a few watching. Richard Harvey. The Love Freak 69. Thank you all for looking in. Going to be back on the radio here in less than 90 seconds with more Uncle Henry Show. Got more coverage of the city council meeting. And also a voicemail was phoned in about some old election. All right. Maybe we could turn the Uncle Henry Show into some type of bizarre old election nostalgia show. All right, back on in 1 minute. See, I was trying to find a weird news story for you. And I don't have any. Oh, this is good news, though, if you're trying to lose weight. Scientists now say that shivering, when you're cold, that shivering does burn calories. 15 minutes of shivering in the cold is physiologically equivalent to moderate exercise for 1 hour. I don't believe it.
and the most podcasts on the planet.
Join the millions who already have it. iHeartRadio, the #1 app for radio.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. It's 5:35. You can also hear me on FM radio. I'm on 95 KSJ, Monday through Friday, between 10 and 2, playing today's hottest country. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to have an early chance for you to win tickets to see Hank Williams Jr. Hank Williams Jr. is going to be at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum for Valentine's Day. That would be quite a memorable Valentine's Day outing, wouldn't it, to go see Hank Williams Jr. singing about country boys can survive and all that kind of stuff. Women love that, don't they? What a romantic Valentine's evening. Well, anyway, Hank Williams Jr. tickets, your chance to win tomorrow on 95 KSJ. I'll have your chance to win at 10:15 in the morning. Yes, 10:15. I'll be giving away Hank Williams Jr. tickets on 95 KSJ, today's hottest country. Telephone number here for the Uncle Henry Show is 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. Email address, unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. Today was a Mobile City Council meeting. I already shared with you some of the comments they made about the late Ann Bedsole. Now, there was a woman that came to the Mobile City Council meeting to talk about dogs attacking her cat. And it turns out that the city of Mobile is looking at changing ordinances about you owning a dog and what happens if your dog gets loose. You don't take care of your dog and your dog harms someone or a pet or something like that. So let's listen. I thought you might find this interesting. Here's a lady who spoke to the Mobile City Council about roaming wild dogs. Well, I don't know that they're wild. Somebody owns them, and the person that owns the dogs is letting them roam. Here is a lady talking about the horrible thing that happened to her beloved pet cat.
I'm known amongst my friends as the weeper, so I hope I can get through this. At approximately,
Give us your full name.
Oh, Mary Pettit. I'm sorry. Good morning. At approximately 7 a.m. on Sunday, November 23rd, my life changed. I was awakened to the sounds of a cat screaming and dogs growling and barking. When I ran out the back door, I witnessed the murder of our beloved cat, Vincent, in our own backyard. This is my cat. My 86-year-old mother loved this cat. I say murder because this was the most vicious, violent act I have ever witnessed. Not a day has gone by that my mother and I haven't broken down in tears. We have both been traumatized by this. The worst part of this tragedy is that it was so easily preventable. While it was a dog that actually killed our sweet Vincent, it was his irresponsible owner who allowed it to happen. This is the dog that killed my cat. These dogs were known to animal control. They had been called out before. The owner had been warned before about keeping control of his animals. They live over a half a mile from my house, and it come that far. The picture of this dog shows a broken tether. I don't know if you can see it. It's very obviously too weak for a size dog of this size and strength. Our neighbors are afraid to walk in the neighborhood because of these dogs and others. It is a constant problem. As sad as we are to have lost Vincent, I thank God that it wasn't my grandson who was visiting that was mauled. The bigger picture is that this isn't just a problem in my neighborhood. It is a problem all over Mobile. There must be harsher penalties for irresponsible dog owners. Slaps on the wrist aren't making them change anything. I didn't realize that I would be on the agenda today until a man I don't even know messaged me on Facebook and told me he will be here on the 16th to tell of his problems with uncontrolled dogs and irresponsible owners. I hastily put together an online petition yesterday and has already gotten over 125 signatures and countless comments and messages about the problems that others are having. This tells me that something needs to be done. The communication between the police and animal control needs to be improved dramatically, and fines and penalties need to be ramped up to make owners take action. It's up to you to set the city ordinances to do this. Thank you for allowing me to speak today, and please follow through with this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, this doesn't happen all the time, but the city council president agreed with this lady completely and totally.
Thank you so much for coming down. And I do know this is a citywide problem. I think about a month ago, I contacted Ms. Keisha Brown. I had a resident in my district cutting some grass and got bitten by dogs several times. And if it was a kid, the kid would have died.
Yeah.
By the way, Lanyap has written this up, lanyapmobile.com. They say the C.J. Small, there was a man cutting grass in his district that was attacked by 2 dogs while I was out cutting grass, and the guy had to go to the hospital. He was injured enough that he had to go off to the hospital because of these dogs just roaming free attacking him.
I mean, I know we have animal control here. If to speak on his behalf, but I mean, if there's anything that this council can do to even try to strengthen the fines or something, because again, I do know that this issue is a broad issue throughout, the city and everything. But we'd like for someone from the administration, if possible, to address, this concern. If it's something that we're working on, or to steepen fines, or what,
All right, so here is Robert Bryant with Animal Services, the Animal Services Department, talking about what the city is looking at doing.
Right now, we are currently working with the legal team to redraft some of our ordinances. That is something that is in progress, and penalties are one of the things we're looking at to address that. And specifically, reference the incident that what happened in your district, that actually brought up some changes that we're looking at implementing in the vicious dog ordinance itself. So we definitely are currently looking at improvements to the ordinances, and hopefully we'll be able to bring that to you in the next couple of weeks.
All right, so they're looking at strengthening the ordinances involving vicious dogs in the city of Mobile. So if you, I don't know if any vicious dog owner is listening, but the folks that that do allow their dogs to just run around in the neighborhood and cause this kind of havoc, it sounds like there's political will to do something about it. I wouldn't be surprised, in fact, now this is on the local level, I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the next year or two there wasn't something statewide on this. And the reason I say that is that I pay attention to some of the local news up in Birmingham and Montgomery, just looking for fun things to talk about here on the Uncle Henry Show. And up near Birmingham, they have had, I think they've had a few fatal dog attacks this year. Now, double check me on that. Check me for accuracy on that. But I believe there have been people killed by dogs up around Birmingham. I think they found just somebody, they found human remains out in the field and determined that it was dogs that killed the person. So this is not just a local thing. There are other communities that are dealing with this, including up in the Birmingham Bessemer area, with just dogs bad enough that people are not just going to the hospital from dog bites, they're being killed. So don't be surprised if there's something statewide on the, and I don't know how municipalities would feel about a statewide law on this. They some councils around the state might like it taken off their plate because people get so passionate about any kind of animal, any kind of rule about an animal. People get so passionate about it. So just keep that in mind. That may be coming down the pike in the next few years on the state level. Anyway, there's even more from the council meeting that I can share with you. All that and more coming up as the Uncle Henry Show continues here on News Radio 710 WNTM. A reminder, you can listen to previous episodes of the Uncle Henry Show as podcasts. You can find the Uncle Henry Show on the iHeartRadio app or at newsradio710.com.
The Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
In Pensacola, watch for an accident north 9th at Crichton Road. Also an accident Navarre Parkway at Palo Alto Street. We also have congestion on Highway 31 from Highway 59 down to Spanish Fort. It's an 18-minute drive. And on the Foley Beach Express from Highway 59 to Canal Road, a 23-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless.
Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube viewers. Hello to you. I've got a frog or some other amphibian in my throat. Now, let me see what I can tell you. First, let me see if there's anybody still watching. I need to get to that. I forgot to get to that voicemail. I'll get to that here in a moment. Norman Richardson, hello to you. Nelson, hello to you. Good to see you. Now, let's see. What can I tell you while waiting to go back on the radio? I do have a caller waiting. I probably will not get back to the city council meeting in this hour. That'll be good for all of us. Even though there was a bizarre C.J. Small moment today. Let's see. Today, was Giving Tuesday, and I guess still is. Lots of great causes here on the Gulf Coast to give to. Including Vets Recover and also St. Jude. Okay, here is a weird news story from the Social Security Administration. There is a rarely heard boy's name that is rapidly rising in popularity in the United States of America. This is a boy's name rising in popularity. According to the Social Security Administration, this name has jumped from the 12,109th most popular name for boys in 2023 to number 991 in 2024, a huge jump in popularity. And the boy's name that is rising rapidly in popularity is Truce. Truce, like Bruce, with a T. Truce. Now, if you name your kid Truce, they're going to spend half of their life saying no. Truce with a T. Not Bruce. Truce with a T. They're going to have to spend the rest of their life doing that. But Truce. Now, there is a website called Nameberry that is a baby naming website because people, it's just too big of a responsibility for modern people to name their children. They have to have a website to give them ideas. And the editor-in-chief of Nameberry says that the reason that Truce is rising in popularity is that there's a yearning for peace in our country. Now, see, I also yearn for peace. But if I were having a son in 2025, I would want to name him something like Slap. Yeah, I would. There might be a yearning for peace, but there's still a lot of freaks out there. I'd want him to be named something like Slap Fist. Something like that.
Heart radio station.
This is the Uncle Henry Show. It's 5:50. News headlines coming up in 10 minutes before we get to some more Uncle Henry Show. Let me go to the phones. Hello, caller.
Hey, Uncle Henry, how you doing?
Snake Trapper, you are live on the radio.
Hey, Uncle Henry, I was listening to you talking about the dog attacks on people.
Yes.
Me, as a 15-year-old boy, I was attacked by a large German Shepherd, actually snatched off of my bicycle. And Uncle Henry, if a person is attacked by a dog, the thing to do is to fight back. Now, that dog only has one weapon, Uncle Henry, and it is its mouth. And once you get control of that mouth, I mean, you pretty much will have the dog whipped. Now, this dog grabbed me by the side and snatched me off of a bicycle. And then when I throwed my arm around, it grabbed my arm. Well, shoot, that left me with everything else free, Uncle Henry. And I grabbed that dog by the throat with my free hand, and I stomped him on his foot. A dog's foot is very sensitive, Uncle Henry. A person can grab a dog by the foot with just their hand and apply enough pressure. Well, you'll break that dog's will to fight. But the people that the dog kills or mains up pretty bad, it's because they were trying to protect themselves and trying to get away. But I would encourage anybody out there, if you're ever attacked by a dog, fight back and fight back viciously. And you will break that dog's will to fight.
Hey, Snake Trapper, I mentioned in the last segment that there have been a bunch of dog deaths up near Birmingham this year. I just looked online. Allegedly, and I say that because it's on the internet. Who knows who made this up? But there have been 4 dog attack fatalities in Alabama this year. 4 people have died in Alabama this year from dog attacks. 18 Alabamians have died from dog attacks since 2020.
Well, it was probably about 3 years ago. My mother-in-law, returning to her house from a trip, was attacked by a bulldog. And had my wife not been there with her, the dog would have killed her. And she pretty much blowed the horn and, scared the dog. And then my son-in-law lived in the same neighborhood, so he got there quick, and the dog was running around in the yard. There was actually 2 of them, but one of them was the aggressor. And, man, they just about ripped her foot off. Like I said, and then time I got there, I mean, it was a big ruckus. And I wind up actually shooting that dog in my mother-in-law's yard. The dog was not trying to attack the people trying to fend it off. It, for some reason, had its mindset on her. And like I said, man, she's got a nasty a scar on her leg where it grabbed her by the leg, and I mean, it gashed her bad. But yeah, Uncle Henry, I just tell everybody out there, if you're ever attacked by a dog, you got to fight back. If you don't, that dog has the upper hand.
All right. Hey, Snake Trapper, thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir, Uncle Henry. You have a good day, my buddy.
You too. There he goes, Snake Trapper. Now, and I was looking at a list here of people that have been killed by dogs in Alabama this year, allegedly. And I say allegedly because it's the internet. You never know. 46-year-old woman killed by a pack of dogs. That was in February. 46-year-old woman. A 78-year-old woman later in the month of February, killed by a couple of dogs. These are now a lot of times victims are children, of course. Not always, though. 46-year-old woman, 78-year-old woman. There was a 50-year-old woman in Bessemer that was attacked by and killed by a pack of dogs. So anyway, that's why I said, don't be surprised if there might be some type of state ordinance on this. Maybe not in the next session, but eventually. All right, let's see. Before I'm out of time, I got a voicemail this hour. We were talking earlier about past elections. I played some Jim Folsom Jr. stuff and all that. We were talking about Guy Hunt and all that. Here's a voicemail about past elections.
Hey, Uncle Henry, this is RT. Hey, I enjoyed all that talk about the past elections and everything. Jim Folsom, Guy Hunt. But anyway, that particular election in the 90s, I voted for Don Siegelman. And that is the last time I've ever voted for a Democrat. The last time. And I've never voted for a Democrat ever since. Anyway, thank you. Good memories. Roll Tide Roll.
Roll Tide Roll. Thank you very much, RT. I appreciate that voicemail. The voicemail number 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976. Don Siegelman was your last Democrat that you voted for. RT, he's still around. You could maybe send him a Christmas card and let him know. Never again. All right, there's more to come. Uncle Henry's show continues after the news break here on News Radio 710.
Securing America.
Following last week's shooting of 2 West Virginia National Guard members in Washington, D.C. by an Afghan...
YouTube viewers, turning the camera off. I'll be back tomorrow with a guest. If you choose to watch tomorrow with Killer Bees, have a pleasant day, what's left of it, and a pleasant tomorrow.
Defense Secretary Tricia McLaughlin